Hi, everyone. My name is Noah Daniel Cass. I'm also an RBT, and this is case study number one. So, who is the client? It is a 7-year-old female who has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, and they primarily communicate through spoken language through Gestalt language processing, the process of learning phrases and then breaking down those phrases, and typically would communicate through 4 to 5 words sentences, and they also do have an AAC device, but it's primarily only used to supplement speech. So if they are having behaviors, they can use this AAC device to still be able to communicate. And one thing was that the behavior that was being primarily intervened was aggression. So aggression is defined as any instance of the client successfully or attempting to use any part of their body, such as their head, open closed fist, to strike any part of a peer or teacher. So, for example, such as punching a staff, striking a staff with their head, so banging their head against someone's chest, and as well as kicking staff. Another thing is also non-examples. So, high fives would account, tapping shoulders to gain attention would account either. So, what caused this behavior to be reinforced? Well, primarily from what we've identified is that it was reinforced by negative reinforcement, such as socially mediated escape. So, presentation of tasks such as DTT trials with one-step instruction, matching identical objects, any skill that they were just starting out and new with, these were skills that we saw a lot of aggression with. Also, transitions to self-care tasks, such as us saying, hey, let's use the bathroom. This is when we started seeing a lot of these behaviors. But because of the escape, there is a positive reinforcement contingency as well. There's quicker access to preferred items such as the swing, animals, or other toys that because we were moving back in a way to protect ourselves from this aggression, she was able to get to those reinforcers, albeit very minimally, but it was still some type of positive effect from positive reinforcement from the aggression. So, how do we assess the behavior? We primarily use two methods. So, a functional behavioral assessment to determine the function. ABC data was collected through our direct client observation during our sessions. We also used a questionnaire with the family to identify how the behavior is functioning at home. So, we wanted to not only see what was happening at the clinic, but to see also in other type of environments as well. With these two assessments, we did identify that the hypothesized function as being socially mediated escape. So with the intervention, we used a functional communication training, so an FCT, to teach I need a break. While running trials, we would vocally prompt the vocals that she needed to say. So I need a break. So how we would do it is, let's say, hey, what's your name? I need a break. So we immediately follow the prompt so that she's able to say it and would be able to then pair that request with being done with a task. Any prompted requests for a break until mastery and any spontaneous requests were reinforced immediately. And the break times were dependent on success. So, for example, if it occurred right after a behavior, she would only get 5 seconds of a break. If she was spontaneous or she was successful with a vocal prompt, she would get a minute break instead. So, really trying to change the value between when to use the breaks. One other thing is also that breaks were defined as a period of time that no demands would be placed on the client. So we could play with other toys, we could try something new, but we would not implement any type of trials. And then once mastery and intervention was faded, only spontaneous requests for a break were reinforced. So what are some of the motivating operations in consideration? Well, uh, one motivation was that would only she would only receive a break from task demands. The escape from an aversive when requesting a break. So right there, it's like, hey, do you want to be all done with this thing? Boom, we can ask for that break. There's that motivation piece. Now she has the function being met, so she has a better behavior to fit that same motivation. There's that establishing operation. So we put in this change value of duration of the break based off of the response so that we could shape it into the direction that we would want. And then, of course, the evocative effect. It's increasing the requesting for a break on any of Versa task demands and transitions. So, asking for a break, asking for more time, asking for space and such, all these things fill into that realm. So, what was the schedule of reinforcement that we used? So, during intervention, initially, we used a fixed ratio of 1. This is primarily to teach how to request and to pair the request with a break. So, if she says it, boom, it ends the task right there and then. As we started approaching mastery of the skill and saw a decrease in the behavior, we began to implement an FR2. So we can show them that, hey, you can't get a break every single time, but we want to get that process. And this process lasted for about 2 or 3 days. Once mastered, we then moved to variable ratio of 2 and only accepted spontaneous responses. Again, we want to increase the likelihood of that behavior being evoked, as well as also start to slowly fade the us out. So that's why we only accepted spontaneous responses and why we moved to variable ratio. Um, how do we generalize and maintain this skill? So, parent training during family caregiver trainings, we call it FCTs. Also, we completed an in-home session practicing the skill. So we had the families implement this skill at home with chores, going to the bathroom, and other tasks around the house. Uh, we moved to only accepting spontaneous forms of requesting for a break. We also taught other forms, such as I need some space or not right now, so that she can use other variety of languages and to use it in different type of contexts. We also, again, we weren't trying to reinforce every single response. Not every time we can get a break because, hey, like we do have to do things around the house. Like I have to do laundry, for example. And sometimes we can't get a break from that. So teaching that early on is going to be incredibly important while also maintaining that VR2 so we can get the likelihood of the behavior occurring. Um, we also practice with other settings such as PT, occupational therapy, speech therapy, of classrooms, and etc. So, what are some outcomes and obstacles? So, some positive outcomes. We had an 83% reduction in aggressive behaviors. This is massive for us. The skill also paved the way for the acquisition of other skills, such as toilet training, because now she had the words to ask for breaks. She wasn't engaging those aggressions, which was making those skills much easier to train and teach. And the skill has also generalized, and parents have successfully implemented it at home, even stating that they're running trials at home with their daughter just so that they can hear ask for a break again, which is really heartwarming. Some obstacles we did see during the intervention was an increase in behaviors initially, as we were initially teaching the skill, decrease in overall rate of acquisition since we were really prioritizing that break. That means not a lot of other skills were getting practice. And right now, one of our main obstacles is overgeneralization. She's using it for literally everything and anything, which is a good problem to have as we can always shape it back just a bit. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day.